Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Welcome to another episode of the Shiny Review. Today, we've just got one card to talk about, though we have a lot of videos coming up in the next couple of days, considering that we have a lot over here. But we'll get to those when we get to them. For now, we're just going to be talking about the new Produce SSR for Nichika. Now keep in mind she is a permanent SSR, meaning that once this banner is over, you'll be able to get her on any other banner. So it's okay to wait, especially given that there are a lot of other banners that for many of you may be a much higher priority. Let's go ahead and get things started then, by taking a look at what Nichika does. Her initial appeal is a Vocal 3.5 that grants one of the following effects at random. Either an increase of Mikoto's appeal strength by 0.1 for 4 turns, an increase of 0.5 for 4 turns, or an increase of 1.0 for 4 turns. This then links into a Vocal 50% buff for 4 turns. The upgraded version of the appeal is a Visual 4.5 that randomly grants one of the effects again. So again, either the 0.1 to Mikoto's appeal strength for 4 turns, 0.5 for 4 turns, or 1.0 for 4 turns, and links into a Visual 50% buff for 4 turns. For her passives, at 1 star, she gets a Vocal Visual 50% up if it's turned to her earlier, and it has a 20% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a Vocal Visual 80% up that requires 1 or more Mikoto appeal strength buff. So in other words, as long as you use any of her appeals, this passive will be live. It has a 30% chance to activate twice. Her 3-star passive is a Vocal 70% up and Memory Gauge 20% up as long as you have 1 to 2 Knock Chill members on your unit, and has a 20% chance to activate once. Her 4-star passive is a Visual 70% up and Memory Gauge 20% up if you have 1 to 2 Alstroemeria members on your team, and has a 20% chance to activate once. Her total stat uncap is a plus 250 to Vocal and plus 300 to Visual. Her Memory Appeal, when maxed out, is a Vocal Visual 1.0 that links into a Vocal Visual 1.5. Nichika is interesting, but nothing too crazy to really write home about. Visual Shies can't really use her in this current state, given that the Nichika you intend to use is either a really good center or buffs Mikoto a much more consistent way, so there's not really any form of competition here between those two cards. Now, you can tell the devs are really happy with this new random effect buff they've been working on ever since Antika, and this one kind of makes PC Kaho in particular look kind of bad, given that there's a 66% chance that you're getting a good buff to Mikoto, versus Kaho's, which is just solely to facilitate her crazy passive, where this, all you have to do is trigger anything and you get access to her decently good passive, which is a huge difference. Not to say that somehow this card is better than PC Kaho, but in a vacuum, the random effect benefits this card way more than it does Kaho, because Kaho's can whiff, whereas this one, you're either getting a buff that's exactly as strong as Kaho's or better for one unit. Or one character, rather. Her buffs indicate exactly how she wants to play and with who specifically. She wants to have either Alstroemeria if you're playing one version of the team, or Knock Chill if you're playing the other. And that Memory Gauge might end up being super useful if, for example, Parallel Collection Mikoto happens, and she's maybe a visual unit or vocal unit and pairs up well with this Nichika. So, I will say as a unit, she's anywhere from a B- to an A. I'm being very generous with that A, only, again, under that assumption that she gets a Mikoto that really wants the Memory Gauge bonuses alongside this buff. As a center, I would say she's a C-. I think even if you were to factor in Mikotos that can buff Nichika's appeals, dual stat Memory Appeals are still some of the hardest things to work with, and even with these low values, buffing it up to like a 2.0 or a 2.5 is not super crazy, and I don't think is going to see a ton of play regardless. But I think this card is trying to paint a picture for what Shies might be doing in the future, and whether or not that's good is going to really hinge on if this pairs up well with a future Mikoto. So, that will do it for this video for today. Thank you so much as always for watching. Next time we'll be talking about the first half of the Oshinoko second collaboration. Naturally, there are a lot of banners up, but here's how we're going to break things down. The next video is going to cover the Memcho alongside the Ruby support, since they were the cards that released first. We'll also include Akane in there since she is the free-to-play unit. or free-to-play support, rather. Then, the second video is going to focus in on the cards that released today as of recording, which is the Kana and Ruby as part of Twilight's collection. So, please be patient as I get these put together. It's going to take a little bit, but we'll get there. I should also mention, too, that they announced earlier this week that we're going to be getting another Twilight's collection banner immediately after Nichika's, which is going to be Chiyoko alongside Luca. So we're going to have several limited banners running at the same time, on top of the limited reruns for the original Ruby and Kana, which means there's a whole lot going on, and it seems like rent was really due over there at the building. So, till the next video, I've been Cho. Thank you so much again for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day.